It is the weekend, and that means it's time to look ahead at next week. Welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast, a sports ethos presentation hosted by yours truly, Aaron Bruski and FSWA Hall of Famer Steve, Dr. A. Alexander. I don't know about you, Steve, but I'm extraordinarily excited to talk about this upcoming week. We've got all sorts of stuff going on. We got the trade deadline heading onto the radar here soon, and it just seems like there's so much action going on, and a weird schedule week as well. So really looking forward to talking about this with you. Quickly, let's get our sponsor read out into the free world here. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from football to NBA, college basketball, NHL, and UFC. BetOnline is your number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns to three-pointers and hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Doc, how you been, man? 24 hours later, not a single thing has changed.
I'm all right, man.
What's up?
I'm glad to hear that you are No.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that you're extraordinarily excited about this episode.
Extraordinarily excited about this episode. I'm not kidding, man. There's actually lots of cool stuff to talk about here.
Amazing.
Yeah, let's get you guys prepped up for what we're about to talk about here. Okay, streaming. This is a big streaming episode, and we have I would say a pretty interesting week here. We got a lot of games early in the week. Monday, 8 games, Tuesday, 5 games, Wednesday, 9, Thursday, 9. Then it gets weird. Friday, 3 games, Saturday, 14 games, Sunday, 1 game to accommodate the NFL playoffs. So you're going to have an opportunity Tuesday to get some streamer action in there, and then it really all comes in the back end of this week. As far as the front end of the week goes, you got Atlanta, Golden State, the Clippers, Celtics, and Mavs each have 3 games in 4 days. So give those teams a look. And then the Blazers play Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. So they're the premium streaming team of the week. And they're also the only team that's playing both Friday and Sunday. So they're going to definitely spend some time on those guys here. In addition to the Blazers, New Orleans, Memphis, Philly, Charlotte, and Cleveland play Friday. And then the team that's playing on Sunday opposite Portland is OKC. We also have Martin Luther King Day on Monday. So reminder, you get ready to set your lineups early. The first game tips off noon Eastern, and that makes it even more difficult for us out here on the West Coast. We got to be ready at 9 a.m. for lineup lock. So you and Rick will go live to break all of this down after the game. So you guys are going to have your hands full on Monday. And then to close this out, Pacers and Spurs only play 2 games. So you're going to kind of keep an eye on that. Yes. That's poor West Coasters, that East Coast bias out there. So let's get into it. Let's start with the Martin Luther King Day streamers. Let's kind of just throw out some names here. We've got 8 games. Let's start with Dallas at Charlotte. Any streamers that have caught your attention in this game?
I think Najee Marshall is a decent play, good streamer. As long as he's starting, as long as Luka's out, it seems like there's room for him to do work in there. Klay Thompson might be sitting on waiver wires out there. Probably a good streaming option. I also like Quentin Grimes. I just assume Spencer Dinwiddie is owned everywhere.
Yeah. It's I'm just kind of laughing at the group chat here, and I'll quickly get off that. I think all of the guys you mentioned are great streamers, and Charlotte is kind of a bit of a question mark, I think, for streaming action these days. I'll probably be staying away from them for the most part. I don't really have a great streamer recommendation for those guys right now. I think they've kind of normalized a bit. Maybe Micic if Brandon Miller for some reason cannot stay upright in that game. What about Detroit at Houston? Has anybody caught your eye from that game?
Well, it'll be interesting to see if Cam Whitmore is still a thing by then, right? With Tari Eason coming back, I kind of feel like, and Tari Eason played good in his return game. I kind of feel like Whitmore is going to fade away. He didn't really fade away in that first game, so I'm interested to see how Whitmore does in his next game, because I think right now he's the most available and obvious streamer in Houston, I think.
Yeah, they're gonna, as guys back, Fred VanVleet being a key piece here, sort of in and out of the lineup a lot this season. If he's back, a lot of the oxygen gets sucked out of the room there. And in Detroit, I don't know in your league if Malik Beasley bounces on or off the waiver wire. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been shooting extraordinarily well over the last couple weeks. I kind of worry about Detroit in general. You can't shoot this well for as long as they have. So it kind of feels like any recommendation of a Detroit fringe player in that vein, and then the Beasley Hardaway realm, it feels like they're about ready to crash down. Isaiah Stewart is always worth a look, though he's been up and down just like everybody else. Jalen Duren's been good lately, so not as much. Yeah, not as much beef stew out there. All right, let's get to Minnesota and Memphis. Who do you like in this one?
Did Minnesota such a mess? What made you got mad in yesterday's show? What made you mad? Talking about you remember what we talked about that made you mad yesterday?
Yeah. It was
you were like,
it was Philly that made me mad.
Oh yeah, you were so mad.
But I'm always mad about Minnesota. Dante DiVincenzo gets hurt, and that makes me mad. Rudy Gobert makes you mad, and he makes me mad. Julius Randle really makes me mad.
Julius Randle really makes you mad. So
he's ruined their season. That you reminded me. I'm very mad about this.
If Dante is out, we're going to get enough Mike Conley that maybe you stream him. Maybe throw him in your lineup. Naz Reid, obviously, but he should be rostered. If he's not rostered in your league, you should probably pick him up. Jaden McDaniels, streamer.
I wonder if Josh Minot, I don't know if it's Minot or Minot.
Minot. It is
Minot. I wonder if they're ever going to cut him loose. It'll take a Julius Randle trade to cut him loose. He's got a lot of potential. I don't know if I could get on the streaming wagon. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, maybe worth a look. What about on the Memphis side?
As I talked about yesterday, I like me some Jalen Wells. Perfect time to stream Jalen Wells, right? Santi Aldama, 20 and 10 his last game. Good opportunity to stream Santi if he's available in your league. Jake LaRavia's cooled off. Scottie Pippen's cooled off. Ja's going to play. I would think Ja's going to play on MLK Day, which is like, this is like the biggest day in fantasy hoops. Like when I had a real job and had to go to an office and I had like 5 fantasy leagues, this was the day, man. I'm just gonna.
They cut down the number of games though
to watch box scores all day.
Yeah, I'm a little upset with the lack of games. Like there used to be like
everybody played that day,
14 or 15 games on that day.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on with that, but I guess we'll deal with that. And the league can give us 14 games next year. But yeah, Memphis, it's Luke Kennard's actually been decent lately, and so if you need some 3-point shooting, he could be worth a look. Santi Aldama, I think if he's available, you kind of stop what you're doing and pick him up. He's been super consistent all season, so definitely a streamer, no matter what. But I consider him a must roster player. Let's get to the Atlanta at New York game. Anything cooking there?
Vic Krejci. That's the guy that I want to.
That is the guy.
I don't know that any of these other guys are not going to be rostered. Maybe Zach Risachet, if he's sitting out there in your league, you roll him. But Krejci is the easy, obvious answer.
Look, if the injury report rolls back bad, you could easily take if the injury report's bad, you take a flyer on Keaton Wallace. This Daquan Plowden, by the way, Keith Chenard, and I'm not pronouncing his name right. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. He's a writer for NBA.com that covers the Hawks. He's been around the Hawks ecosystem forever. He's been cutting up highlights of Plowden in the G League, and between that and what we've seen at the NBA level, I think this guy's got something cooking. I don't know if he will get consistent run, if he'll just be in the G League a lot. I mean, if the Hawks are full strength, I think all bets are off. But I was shocked. I saw his box score, and I picked him up in 30 deep. And I was then looking at the film, and I was like, I'm glad that I did that. Because it just looks like he's got a lot of athleticism, and they're doing something interesting with that G League squad in Atlanta with their defensive alignment. So anyway, Plowden, Keaton Wallace, if the injury report comes back bad, Krejci's been good for 3 weeks, kind of independently of all that. But those other two, Keaton Wallace probably first because he's got more experience, and then Plowden, if the injury report's good, give him a look. What about on the New York side? Anybody? If Karl Anthony Towns is out, would you go for Precious?
I think I might go Jericho. But yeah, both of those guys, if Cat's out, Precious and Jericho Sims are both worth a stream. And then Miles McBride, worth a look. Other than that, man, Tommy's going to play those guys 45 minutes. And the guys coming off the bench will just be in there to literally give the starters a breather, a short breather.
Boston at Golden State. Golden State sort of reeling, even organizationally. They don't really know what they want to do. I'm wondering if Steph saying that he doesn't want to jeopardize the franchise's future, that could be just an easy PR line. He's just trying to be a good guy or whatever. I was wondering if he's like, I know I'm out of here. I know I'm going to take another season somewhere else. And I don't want these guys to go betting the farm on me because I've already signaled to them I'm going to go maybe have a year in Charlotte or something. That's just whatever talk as far as streamers go. What you got in Boston at GSW?
Trace Jackson Davis. Andrew Wiggins might be available in some shallow leagues. Dennis Schroeder is not really coming through. And you and I both wrote off, I think you and I and Rick all wrote off Buddy Hield 2 or 3 weeks ago. And now he's suddenly playing well again. Somebody has to play well.
I was the last holdout. The minute I went, then Buddy came back. And during his top 75 run, he was terrible, by the way. Like Warriors fans can't stop complaining about that guy. But he's worth a look. Trace Jackson Davis is the interesting one. Boston probably will never play the Warriors light after their finals loss. So probably a motivated Boston squad. Yeah, Olympics. You got a lot of motivation there. So if you're looking for Boston to take this game easy, they probably won't, and you'll probably see somebody like Peyton Pritchard go nuts in this game as well. Let's get to Utah at New Orleans. Anybody standing out for you there?
Utah is a mess, dude. Everybody's hurt. The tank is on. Keontae George is hot. Colin Sexton is good. They should both be rostered. Well, Keontae may be available in leagues. I don't know. Keontae is automatic pickup for MLK Day if he's available. And then Isaiah Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh. I really like them too. All three of those guys. I would put in the lineup for MLK Day.
Yeah, I think Collier and Sensabaugh as sort of down roster guys in the streamers that you're probably looking for. Also, Drew Eubanks might, if they continue to rest guys in the tank race, Eubanks, I think, probably get you startable value. So, he's got some short-term value there. On the New Orleans side, Jose Alvarado is always a guy who's a threat to reach up and have a big game out of nowhere. So if you're looking for that kind of quotient, when you're looking at the waiver wire, you're like, I need somebody who's going to give me a big line. Jose Alvarado does that out of nowhere. about 3 times a season. So give him a look, and maybe even somebody like Jeremiah Robinson Earl, if the injury report starts to trend in the direction of big men that they need healthy bodies. I should say Jeremiah Robinson Earl has been a late round guy at some points in time during the season. Chicago at the Clippers. You got any streamers there?
Real quick, can you tell me when you think New Orleans is going to start shutting guys down? Like, how long is Zion Williamson really going to go out there and play?
I honestly wonder if New Orleans is the epicenter of the trade deadline. Like, there's so much gravity with Zion. There's so much gravity with Brandon Ingram. I mean, if Zion wasn't there, Brandon Ingram, we'd be talking about, like, here's this guy who's a really good player when he's healthy, and he's got a big deal, and, like, where's he going to go? He's not going to stay in New Orleans. They don't want him there. So he alone would be a pretty big piece to talk about at a trade deadline. Now the economics of it all and the cap and all of that don't support trade mobility. So maybe that's what's limiting the discussion here. But then you factor in Zion. I just do not. I talked about it in yesterday's show a little tiny bit, but like, I don't see how you're New Orleans. You've been burned by this guy. You've been burned by him bad. He was supposed to be almost like a generational talent, and all he's done is eat his way out of the league. I mean, let's be blunt about it.
Oh, dude, like, did you see that thing on Twitter the other day? I have no idea if this was real or not. It looked real. It felt real. There was a picture of Zion at Wendy's in the drive-thru, and he's like smiling, and the kid took a selfie with Zion in his car getting food. And somebody said that literally happened at the same time that the team plane was taking off at the airport. You get one of those Baconators. Let me get 3 of those Baconators.
Oh, damn, where's my plane? Dude, I lost my plane. I mean, but you've opened yourself up to get those kinds of jokes because you haven't taken your weight seriously. And, it's everybody in the league talks about it. It's not just like isolated, random people talking about it. Everybody's talked about this, and then you can't stay healthy. And then when you miss to team flight, you got to know that if this was the reason why they suspend him for a game, this is not the first time. This is the 500th time. Like, you don't do this
practice and yada yada yada.
He is giving all the signs that he doesn't want to be there anymore. He had a big turnover in a game probably like 4 games ago, and his body language was so bad. It was a key moment. A leader would have been something along the lines of like, that's on me, or he would have been mad at his teammate. He just looked like he didn't care. And he is all the way checked out.
I get the sense that Zion would rather be curating the Bumbershoot Festival in Washington, which is a big music festival. I think he'd rather do that than play basketball right now.
It's a music festival?
Yeah.
The Bumbershoot Festival. What kind of music is it? You know,
something for everybody.
I thought Bumbershoot was an umbrella. But I digress.
Well, it's in Seattle. What's it do in Seattle, Brew?
In Seattle, you can go to the fish market. You can go to this. You could go to the Space Needle. It only rains for people who are depressed.
You need your umbrella.
That is a beautiful, 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 beautiful opportunity to get to Seattle for people. I don't know. What are we talking about here? We don't even know. But I would like to say this about the trade deadline. I think that Zion, like, if you're going to make a move, I know you got to find somebody else who can, another dance partner to tango with, but how could you let this go on another season? You couldn't, I don't think, unless you really don't care. If you're New Orleans, which maybe that's the case. I know they've had some ownership issues there, but I think that Zion finding another home and some of the quotes you hear about from league mover and shakers is that, like, executives will say off the record that they would get over their skis and they would make a move for Zion just because of the potential alone. And what does that do? Well, it basically opens up things for the rest of the roster. So to answer your original question, as we went down the bumbershoot path here, is your players will be freed right after the trade deadline. When the trade deadline hits, I think that's when it all pivots.
They're good to go until the deadline.
I think they're going to be, I think Zion will be every other game until the trade deadline. And I think this team will play unhappy basketball until the trade deadline. And then CJ McCollum probably goes, Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. And who knows, maybe one of them stays because you can't get rid of two huge pieces like that in one trade deadline. But I think they would get shut down even for the rest of the season and deal with it over the summer.
DeJounte Murray can't play well with others. I mean, is he going to eventually get himself to the point where teams don't want him on their team?
Maybe it's possible. His game is a little bit it's a little jumpy. Like he's pre-planned and he's kind of pot committed with all of his stuff. And I don't know that he'll ever be better than that until he can shoot better and he can dribble better. And then you got Trey Murphy. He's the guy. So, but I think Trey Murphy, DeJounte Murray, and guys like Jose Alvarado, and then you got role players like Javonte Green, Herbert Jones won't be back maybe at all this season. But those players that I named before, you throw in Misi, like they'll be bad, they'll lose games, but they'll be balanced. You'll see a ton of Trey Murphy. I think DeJounte Murray in that scenario, is talking about him being a buy low in yesterday's show. I think there's at least a case to be made that he can do that and he won't have to play with others so much. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Is Trey Murphy tank proof?
No.
I'm going to say no because of his injury history.
That's right. And I think it becomes much easier when he gets like a hamstring injury or something to be like, hey, take 2-3 weeks off. And, but at the same time, you kind of want to see what you have in Trey Murphy. So if he stays healthy and he's not really contributing to winning because the teammates aren't that good, I think he could keep rolling and rolling and rolling. And he's been the number 6 overall fantasy play over the last 3 weeks. Trey Murphy. 98.1% from the foul line on 6.5 attempts per game. It's been beautiful. It's been beautiful. All right, we somehow got stuck on this game. Let's get to Chicago and the Clippers. Any streamers there?
Chicago and the Clippers. It's not on my list. Hold on. Hold, please.
Would you like me to get you a bumper shoot so you can step out of the rain and into the action? No, just shaking your head over.
What game are we doing?
Oh, I guess that game was rescheduled. Okay, my apologies.
So I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy. You're not crazy.
Your
game was rescheduled.
Your head so wrapped up in the.
Oh no! It is. It was rescheduled to Monday. I am correct, and you were wrong.
It is MLK Day.
Yeah,
it's not on my list. Okay.
All right. So any streamers in Chicago?
Probably. I'd like.
I'll go Jalen Smith.
Like from Natalia, who's zealous, and you would like for Jalen Smith. Like you've
been talking about Jalen Smith all year.
And I like Buzelis, but Pat Williams won't let him play. So I'm going to say
Ayo, Dosunmu.
Is he?
I bet you he got dropped in a lot of places. He shouldn't have been
healthy for once.
That's a key question, but I'll take a chance and say I would like to find out. I'd like to add and then find out.
I'm down with that. I can do that.
The Clippers are interesting. All their streamer guys are pushed down by the Kawhi Leonard stuff, but the usual suspects there: the Derek Jones, the Chris Duns, maybe Amir Coffey, depending on how the injury report breaks late. Okay, that's a lot of streamer talk there. Let's see. Let's get into the back end, or I will be
streaming. I will be streaming both Derek Jones Jr. and Amir Coffey. Just saying.
Oh, all right. Thank you for that. I think we covered most of the teams that I wanted to cover here, but let's do a deep dive on the Blazers here real quick because they play Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. They're kind of the premium streaming squad. What there's a bunch of different, like really different things going on. Like, I mean, we could probably just start with Denny Avdia. Like, he's been super consistent amidst this mess. And we've got different messes going on here. But like, how do you like Denny the rest of the season? Do you think it's a good time to sell? That's an easy kind of feels good sort of an answer, but it also could be the wrong answer. What would you do with Denny?
I don't think I'm selling Denny. I just wonder, is he going to get healthy and play? Like, where is he? I miss him. If he's healthy and this injury is over, I'm good.
You miss him and you want to get an apartment.
If he misses more games, I'm not gonna be happy. I'll just say that. But I'm a Denny guy. I've been very happy with Denny's low end production all year.
Well, you take that over like
he's been good.
Like Anthony Simons has been good-ish lately, but much more off the floor. Denny's been good. I'm happy to keep Denny, I think. Because I don't think you're going to get as much as you're going to get by keeping Denny. I don't think you're going to get that out there in the trade market. What about, I know you're a huge fan of DeAndre Ayton. What about Ayton heading into these next few months here? How are you handling that?
If they don't shut him down at the trade deadline this year and then make him play the whole season again, I'm going to be shocked and baffled. And I say this every week, I know. But I just can't imagine him finishing the season. We've got to get Donovan Clingan healthy. Got to let Donovan Clingan play and develop and let him play with Scoot and let him play with the kids. Get Jeremy Grant out of there. Get Anthony Simons out of there. Get everybody out of the way and let Denny, Scoot, Clingan, Shaden, and Toumani Camara get out there and play.
Toumani Camara, man. I was telling the Andre the other day. He looks really freaking good. Like tall, long. Basically, I mean, quickness wise, he can kind of move with anybody, and then he has a lot of strength as well. Offensively, he's got a little bit to go, but I think next season he's going to be pretty freaking good. So I'll plant a little mini flag there. You mentioned Donovan Clingan. He's the guy we all want to be good, right? Is there any sort of logic here that DeAndre Ayton, we've seen it last season where they kind of just say, well, hey, we'll just put DeAndre Ayton out there for, X amount of games and 30 minutes a game. And it's not really doing anything for anybody. It's not doing anything for Ayton. It's not doing anything for Portland. It's not doing anything for fantasy GMs. But they just did it last year. And now you got Clingan with, I don't know, do you think this injury is bad? Do you think he's got a bum knee?
Not good.
Right.
Not good.
Do you ball that up and say, hey, you know what? DeAndre Ayton might actually sneak through with some fantasy value in the top 75 range for the rest of the season. And maybe you don't get rid of DeAndre Ayton right now. I think a lot of people want to get rid of DeAndre Ayton. I think you want to get rid of DeAndre Ayton. I think Portland wants to get rid of DeAndre Ayton. I think fantasy GMs want to get rid of DeAndre Ayton. But should everybody?
If I had DeAndre Ayton, I wouldn't want to get rid of him. But I don't. I didn't take him anywhere. Plus the weather's bad up there in Portland. Who knows how many snow days are coming for the guy.
You're not moved by any of this. Donovan Clingan might have a Dorito knee, and
I don't know, dude. I don't see how they play Ayton the whole year. But the owner of that team may be like, I'm paying this guy max money. He's gonna play every night. I don't give a shit. And maybe that's why DeAndre Ayton is playing every night.
I just love that DeAndre Ayton gets you to swear.
I'm not going to shut myself down. The team's not going to shut me down. So maybe I'll just keep playing. I mean, And Clingan's injury is a huge part of this too. Like, he's not healthy. We know Robert Williams isn't going to be healthy. Somebody's got to play center. Hell, maybe he plays the whole season again.
What if DeAndre Ayton? What if you knew that for all that bad weather in Portland, that DeAndre Ayton owned a bumper chute that could keep him dry, so he could make it to the game on time? Would that influence your opinion of DeAndre Ayton? You hate me right now. You just hate me right now.
Umbrellas do not do anything in the snow, bro. They just don't. No. That umbrella ain't going to be out in his car. He's not going to be holding it out the window over his car. The issue is he can't drive in the snow.
Anyway. Okay. All right. What about Scoot Henderson? Scoot. Yeah, you love Scoot.
Scoot's going to go off. He's a must, in my opinion, he's a must-have player right now. Even if he sucks for the next 3 weeks, which I don't think he will, it's coming, man. We're 2 weeks away from February. We're 3 weeks away from the trade deadline and the whole All-Star break. Once all that's out of the way, it's Scoot time, baby. Every Simons is going away.
You went the longest way around saying mustache player. You said must have.
I don't know mustache.
Mustache player Scoot Henderson. But I do want to point out you've been consistent on this. And when Scoot Henderson is going off in March and April, like, you will be the guy that gets all the kudos for that. If I want to see it happen. I want to see it happen for him. I want to see it for Anthony Simons. I want to see it for Shaedon Sharpe. Now, do you think Simons, is there any angle here that he's a really good player and that if he does get traded out of Portland, that this is actually a good thing for him and maybe folks should maybe get a little bit more serious about trying to acquire Simons? Because it feels like you could get Simons pretty easily right now. Like, you could offer a top 100 player for Anthony Simons and maybe get him because everybody's so freaked out about Portland.
You think there's any going though? We don't know where he'll land. So, I mean, it's trade deadlines, speculation stuff. You know that for years I'm like, I'm not a big, huge trade deadline guy. Because if you do it and you're able to pull off a great trade to get rid of Simons or to get Simons, and then he gets traded to Boston for some reason, what good did it do you? And he's not going to get traded to Boston. That was just for instance.
Well, I think it's funny because, like, we don't know anything about this trade deadline. It feels like there's not a ton of momentum in the trade market. If anything, the trade market is stalled out. And at the same time, there are a lot of players. Like, if you're Portland, trading Simons makes a ton of sense because, you know, the contracts, and then you've got these younger players that you need to check out, and they're under team control for longer. And, you know, he's a good player, Simons. He's a great young player that somebody theoretically out there could get, you know, a fairly nice angle on. You know, you might not have to give up so much to get him. And you're going to get him for quite a while if you get him. So that's just interesting stuff there.
The CBA's made it so hard to trade. And who was the guy we had on preseason that told us?
Trevor Lane.
All that?
Yeah.
Trevor Lane. Trevor Lane came on and broke that down. And I was like, wow, that stinks. And I'm not a trade deadline guy, so I don't really care that much. But for people who love the trade deadline, this feels like it's going to be one of the least exciting trade deadlines we've ever had once we figure out what's happening in New Orleans and Miami.
The good news, if you are expecting a big trade deadline, sometimes that's when it happens, is when it doesn't feel like it's going to happen. But I remember it was like the second or third year Twitter was around and like a third of the league was traded or half the league was traded. That was amazing. It was a ton of fun, and the league would be wise to tweak the CBA to allow for more trades. What about Shaedon Sharpe? Would you consider him to be a must roster player right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Feels like it. He's Go ahead.
Yeah, his stat set is just weird. Like it's starting to almost become good. but it's like hard to say that with any sort of conviction. But he's at 80% shooting from the foul line, so he's got that piece of it figured out. 45.4% from the field. It's just those defensive stats, and then I just wonder maybe if he played for a better team, if he would get more than 3 assists per game. But he is he's a dynamic player, dynamic scorer. 18 points per game on a bad team that's changing players every single night. Maybe there's a future for him. Him and like Jalen Green, to me, represent talent, but without the fantasy value attached. You're seeing Jalen Green go off right now. Maybe Shaden Sharp's got something like that in his future, but you're calling him must roster. I'll call him must roster. I won't go that far for Scoot just because the numbers have been pretty bad this season. But the March and April thing is certainly real. Okay. With that said, I believe we have covered all of the options heading into the weekend here and up into the upcoming week. The guys, Doc and Rick, will be back on Monday to break down everything that happened on Martin Luther King Day, to get you guys ready for how to pillage after all of that action. So keep an eye out for that. And with that, get us out of here. Thank you guys for all of your feedback and all of the well wishes that you guys have sent throughout the year. Please keep sending your feedback in. We're putting a lot of money into the platform right now. So getting your feedback on where we want to put all of that and what we want to do with that is very helpful. And we thank you for all of that. Follow us on all of the social media platforms at Sports Ethos, at Ethos Fantasy NBA. If you guys are watching this live, don't forget to subscribe to the Sports Ethos YouTube channel and go download the free app, guys. It's got all the news you need. We're making updates to that thing every week or so, and we have big plans for that. So check it out on Google Play and the App Store. Thanks, Andre, for the great episode as usual. And this has been Fantasy NBA Today, presented by Bet Online. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, be well.
That's your lineups on Sunday night, so you don't forget.